G'day, hi and welcome from the helm of the Silver Pellet, and I'm in the bush again. The last time it was raining a lot there. I don't see the deer. Usually a doe and a fawn just up a bit there. It's not bad colors. The colors haven't been really spectacular this year. They've been okay, but not spectacular. Alrighty, I got a little bit of time to kill. Unlike yesterday, though, I actually have to get to work on time today. Yesterday was like I was able to kind of set it out a bit there, so I got a little bit more work with that other client. He's like, he says, I'm gonna get you again. So I didn't know if, like, you never know what day is gonna be a lot. It's kind of like either, oh yeah, I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week. Or like, oh, I'll see you next season. This time of year, you don't know, you have no idea how much work you're gonna have, right? But so far it's been at least 5 days a week all month, so if I can maintain that all this month and then even half of that next month, that'd help me out. If I can get that into December, that'd be phenomenal. But anyway, I want to continue on my MGTOW bashing. I'm sure the videos haven't quite caught on yet, but I'm sure as soon as they do, it's like I'm kind of like the salmon going up the stream right now. I'm not against everything the red pill community does. I'm not against everything that the MGTOW talk about. And I call it MGTOW. I don't care what it's called. Nobody knows how to pronounce it right anyway. But like the critiques I'm making are okay. Some of the observations are 100% correct. There's no doubt about that. No one's going to argue with you on that. But this idea of just let society burn, well, that doesn't work out for you. It doesn't work for the guys that promote it. It really doesn't. And this series of videos more for the younger guys that might be thinking of, and I get it when you're younger too. You get a little bit more, so you're a little more self-conscious a lot of times, and you're definitely more influential. Even into your early 20s, you're definitely heavily influenced by your peers and stuff like that. And if you don't have older men out there kind of giving you some guidance, there's life is not in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like they say, nature doesn't like a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like it'll always fill itself in with something. And with young lads, if you're filling them with all this, I'm not saying every MGTOW guy is a misogynist, but the ideology is. It might not have started out that way. But if you listen to them now, like, it's all about, like, you watch MGTOW video after MGTOW video, it's all about how, like, women are just horrible, women are just trash kind of thing. Maybe not in that blatant kind of way, but it's just black pill, right? So today I want to talk about red flags and green flags. Now, with the MGTOW, you'll get all the red flags. They'll give you lots of great information there. Full stop. I agree. You want to find out, the bad habits of women, you will find out those bad habits. But the problem that a lot of these guys don't realize is that we are in an anomaly situation. This is the first time in history where you could really truly say we're in a situation like this. Now, you could, a lot of guys will, bring up the Roman Empire again. Will say, well, basically the Roman Empire, because it kind of mirrors or rhymes with what we're seeing today. They let women, run amok and whatever. And they tried multiculturalism. They tried, forms of it. So what we call it today is not what they called it back then. But, the Roman Empire basically watered itself down, stripped itself of its morality, and then, of course, endless wars. You start seeing a theme here, right? See, Jesus, so you don't even need a time machine to understand what that means, right? Like, we're living it right now. The economy went bad. Excessive debt of the empire, etc., etc. Right? So we know what's left there. But it's different now in a lot of ways because the version that we're living now is just, it's never been seen before in human history for many reasons. One main reason too is that it's never been easier to survive. So people that would have died from, say, genetic defects or health problems early on in life, like, kids that used to, back in the 50s that would die of pneumonia. Now, like, who dies of pneumonia? The odd old person dies, usually the old people die of pneumonia, you know what I mean? But kids rarely die of pneumonia now. But that used to be a big thing, because the living standards are so high now, even in some third world countries. I mean, their living standards come up a bit. Like, they're really, 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 off the deep end third world countries. It's horrible there. It's no easier to survive there than it was thousands of years ago. Like, there's just nothing. You know what I mean? But most of the world has access to electricity. Most of the world has access to communications, etc., etc. And most world has access to, food transportation, right? Which is stuff that didn't really exist, say, 200-300 years ago. Especially over 300 years before the train system came in, where, you pretty much had to eat local, you had to grow local, and most people were farmers, like most people, you didn't have corporate jobs, back then. That just didn't exist. It's everybody was in a production-based agrarian kind of society, right? And that kept people realistic on what it meant to survive. You don't work, you don't eat. Now we don't have that. We have, social welfare and expanding debt and blah, blah, blah. And that, gives people the illusion that, everything comes from a tap, so to speak, right? So what does that have to do with the red flags and the green flags? Well, it has lots and little. So when we're looking at, the lens of the world, we have to look at it from the lens of modernity, right? So I'm a don't sweat the little things. Like, language changes with, modernity. It really does. Postmodernist language, all these, I always say beware the buzzword. Buzzwords are great for, if you want to you can almost, just having a conversation with somebody, just by the buzzwords that they use, you could tell them like what spectrum they're on for normie, right? Or woke or whatever, because there will be language that will come out and, it might be dressed in a common language, say like English or whatever country you're in, whatever the common language is there. But the understanding of words and meanings of words usually, I say, come down to two types of people, either arguing from the point of view of hyper-individuality, say like your Jordan Peterson or the way Sargon of Akkad used to argue. It was always from an individualist point of view, or from the collectivist point of view. Not necessarily meaning communist or whatever, but it could be, But, so people either talk in terms of me or we, you know what I mean? And you need to kind of sort out that language right away. If they're talking in terms of we, that's a green flag. That's a big green flag, because that means they're not just self-absorbed all the time. They actually have an outer shell that they're, taken care of. And somebody behind me now? Okay. Stuff like that. So these green flags will out themselves as well. That's the good news. I'm going to splice the video here, I think.